Yes.
Why was the events expense cheaper in 2017 than 2016?
Oh, I can answer that. The reason why is prior to 2017, the attendance of the board members was lumped in to the national fees, which it should have been, so then it was broken out.
Professional fees in 2017 are substantially higher than previous years because we had to pay for a tax opinion as to how to proceed with filing 9 years tax returns. So it's basically a tax opinion.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay.
We are current and compliant, and Jerry is owed a debt of gratitude for a lot of hard work that has really helped to get us to this point. Thank you, Jerry. We'll now proceed with the President's report. I'll just stand up because I feel a little bit more comfortable standing. This is the first President's report in over a decade presented by anyone other than Matthew Smith. It's my first time, so bear with me. I'm not used to talking to audiences so big. Actually, it's like a Dragon Ball team. I'm comfortable. So, it's been an honor and a privilege to represent fine people like yourselves as the President of Dragon Ball Canada over the past year. It really has. It's been really enjoyable to walk up and down nationals and see people and talk to them and hear some great suggestions. I'd like to start by looking at the year ahead before we look at the year previous. 2019 has a couple of really exciting things. First and foremost, it is Dragon Ball Canada's 25th year. It's our 25th anniversary in 2019, so that's something that we really, really want to celebrate. Second of all, it's going to be one of the most unique Canadian championships ever. It's a qualifying year and it's going to be held in Regina, Saskatchewan. It's a city that's thrilled to have us. It's a small place that we are going to feel like the center of attention. It has a world-class race course, which is also used for canoe kayak Canadian championships. So the water is good. We're going to be the center of the town. They've already got all our hotels booked for us, and it will be one of the first Canadian championships to have a celebration party at the end, and a concept around a festival atmosphere each night. Each night there will be something, an opening ceremonies, a closing ceremonies, and a really exciting AGM, and other things like that, award ceremonies, things of that nature. In 2019, a few things that we'd like to do is tell stories about our past, engage our members in possibilities for the future, reevaluate and possibly refresh our brand, and increase and enhance our competitive skill. 2019 will see Dragon Ball Canada sanction 126 crews to compete in the 2020 Club Crew World Championships in France. It'll see us support 400 plus athletes compete in the 2019 World Championships in Pattaya, Thailand. And it'll bring our family of festivals domestically closer together. That's what we have coming up in the next year. As you can tell, I'm excited to get 2019 going, but now let's just look back at 2018. The best way that I can think about telling a story about the last year is just to highlight my excellent teammates and all the great contributions that they've made for us, the paddlers. So there's my friend and teammate Rob Farnell. He's one of DBC's most senior directors, most long-standing directors. He's got a lot of experience and wisdom, but this year Rob acted as the chair of our Hall of Fame committee. He got a committee working with him, set up a really outstanding structure for recognition, reached out to our community, and has gotten great engagement from that community. So that's something that we're really excited about, the opportunities that will present in the future. Rob's done a great job at that. My friend and teammate Jonathan Wilkins. Jonathan's also a long-standing member, or a long-standing director. He's a vociferous and vocal advocate for senior development. Chairing and leading Dragon Canada's Senior Development Committee, Jonathan has been adamant and successful in educating the IDBF in the development of senior age class racing in our sport. And he's been quite successful. Our voice has been heard by the International Federation. My friend and teammate, Catherine Edwards. Catherine is the chair and lead of our most robust committee, the High Performance Committee. Overseeing our most intricate project, Catherine collaborates with athletes, program directors, and regional committee members to continuously improve and monitor Team Canada. She's to be commended for her outstanding efforts and accomplishments. My friend and teammate Anthony Malouf, bringing an abundance of enthusiasm and positivity. Anthony is a major contributor to DBC's communication strategy in both English and French. Anthony provides great perspective and performs a critical role in assisting all DBC communications. He's based out of Montreal, which is an important area for us to be engaged with and understand the needs of their constituents. My friend and teammate Karine Maltais. Karine performs a critical role of representing a French-speaking constituency outside of the core of Montreal. She's spreading the DBC message throughout all of Quebec and has been instrumental in growing our sport in a smaller community, which is critical to our long-term success. My friend and teammate Lynn Evanson. Lynn has taken the initiative for a project which is nearest and dearest to our heart, volunteer coordination. For us to succeed, our whole organization is volunteer run and driven. So to have a board member coordinating volunteerism, looking for special volunteers, special projects, and putting that all together, that's what's going to grow us in the future. Jerry just told you we have a little bit of money. Okay? So getting special people, passionate and engaged, and helping moving our organization forward, it's core and critical to our future. My friend and teammate Chris Goldner, an extraordinarily passionate contributor and also long-serving director. Chris chairs both our officials committee and rules committee. Chris reviews and oversees our CCWC protocol, our PAC protocol, and annual rule change process. All these items impact athletes in a fundamental way, and Chris performs his duties with passion, knowledge, and acumen. Chris is also co-chief official of Canadian Championships and actively engaged in moving Dragon Canada's mandate forward on an international level. We have a big rule change process where our whole community can contribute ideas in the fall. And Chris filters that, works with his officials, works with the board of directors, and we have a fundamental process for getting good ideas and acting. My friend and teammate Wendy Joe, bringing youth, vision, like literally youth, she's young. Vision, she tells all of us all the time.
Yes, she does.
Youth vision and drive to our board. Wendy has chaired a youth development committee that has experienced great success in a short period. Wendy is personally engaged with IDBF officials to educate and improve the international experience of Canadian U24s and university teams and junior teams. Communicated with domestic youth crews to get their ideas and suggestions and challenges, and advocates for all youth to our board on a regular basis. My friend and teammate Cheryl Shannon. Cheryl's been an inspiration to me personally throughout the past year. She's undertaking an enormous task, which is reviewing, revamping, and improving our education and training process. She's a recently retired teacher. She has terrific vision for how DBC will train and educate its coaches, steers, and officials of the future. She realizes this will be a long-term task, but she's already making significant strides. All the while dominating her competition on Mount Water. My friend and teammate Lorraine Warnock, as the chair of the Race Series Committee, Lorraine has been absolutely instrumental in bringing our country close together through racing standards and virtual competition. In a nutshell, festivals came before Dragon Boat Canada. Dragon Boat Canada came up with some really structured rules. festivals were there first, so they're like, yeah, we just like doing it the way we're doing it. Lorraine is undertaking the monumental task of going, yeah, but we'd like you to do it this way. And trying to do that in a very, collaborative way. Trying to get someone to change their pattern is a big task. We're taking it on, and I believe we're having success. Simply by Lorraine engaging, communicating, finding out the problems, and working through them. It'll take time to get festivals that don't understand how Dragon Boat Canada works to comply, but it's already happening because of Lorraine's hard work. I would say that Lindsay Wingham-Smith is helping Lorraine in terms of the race series process and has been extremely valuable in that way. We also have an on-site presence at over 30 festivals. Basically, to be in the marshalling area to go, if there's a mix-up, go, here, we can help, we can educate, we can tell you why this is a mix-up, what the rules should be, how it should be done. Can a male person steer? Can I have someone from another club on my crew? These are the types of questions we get. It's going to take a while to get everybody to understand. That's what Lorraine's undertaking. My friend and teammate Jerry McElwain. Thankless job of getting DBC compliant with all the requirements of Revenue Canada. Jerry's done nothing short of a momentous job. He's been able to accomplish all his tasks to review and analyze the past several years of financial transactions and make sure we're on a strong and stable platform going forward. My friend and teammate Susan Mitchell. Susan is nothing if not fundamental to our success. Susan is vivacious in her fervor for making Dragon Boat Canada better. She contributes on every level of DBC. She specializes in ensuring that we are acting in compliance with proper governance and regulations. Really boring stuff that I'm not interested in. Sorry, I don't know if it's but this description doesn't accurately encompass the vast contributions she has made over several years. Susan's driving force behind a transparent, accessible, innovative Dragon Boat Canada that all of its associate members can be proud of in the future. I think I can say this part. DBC is sad that Susan will be moving on.
Strike that from your memory.
Perhaps not, hopefully not, but I'll read it anyways because I love it. Sad that Susan will be moving on to other endeavors, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank her for her enormous contribution. My friend and teammate Chloe Greenhalgh. Simply put, Chloe is our engine and our driving force. She sits on every committee, reviews every registration, sits in every club inquiry. She drives our day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month. She's undeniable in her positive contribution to our paddling community. She advocates like crazy for us, the paddlers, to have a better and more fulsome experience. She's always trying to improve policies and practices on our behalf. In summary, I'm thrilled to be part of such a great team of volunteers, it should be noted, working hard to make things better. In 2018, we introduced a new registration system, activated a nationwide race series, conducted town hall meetings across the country, increased our presence within the international community. I'm proud to be a part of the team that's truly moving our sport and our country ahead. I truly and honestly cannot wait to celebrate our next accomplishments together at the 2019 Canadian Championships in Regina. I told you, 4 hours. Reports of regional vice presidents and festival director. We'll go west to east. You're sitting beside me. Catherine Edwards.
I'm going to sit. In the west, the largest growth in the west in this past year has been the Victorian University. Thank you so much to Wendy and the Student Racing Committee. It's really moved that forward. In the past year, Chloe and Scott have visited the west and conducted town halls for the attendance was excellent. I know in particular in the Nanaimo, my little part of the country. It was great. So in BC, Chloe visited Nanaimo, Victoria, and Vancouver. And in Alberta, Scott was in Lethbridge and Edmonton, and then in Saskatchewan in Regina. And lastly, the West is very excited to have nationals come. And we're really looking forward to everybody joining us in our end of the country. Oh,
Catherine will now do the high performance committee report.
okay, a little longer. All right, so each national team cycle, the high performance committee is tasked with improving the process and organization of our national teams. Implementing change in such a large program takes focus and time. And over the past year, the high performance committee has focused in the following areas. Number one, implementing longer term contracts for the program directors. So the intent of this longer term is to assist the program directors to provide a more consistent planning and programming for the greater success of our national programs and athletes. For the current cycle, the program directors have been appointed on a conditional 2-year agreement, or 2-cycle agreement, and automatic promotion to the second cycle is conditional upon the performance of the program director based on our new review process and athlete surveys. Formalizing a mentorship or internship program. We are providing an opportunity for coaches to be mentored by our current program directors to enhance their skills and provide a much larger pool of coaches applying for national team programs in the future. A call out was sent to all coaches requesting applications, and we received 9 applications. And a subcommittee of the high performance committee selected the top contenders to enter the program. At this time, we're in the process of putting together the program directors with the applicants to make sure that we have a good fit. So that should be announced in the next few months, to see how that will come together. And thirdly, a mentor program. We do have some a new program that we're trying to offer for our program directors who have been in the position of program directors for 2 years or less. We are in the process of requesting assistance from experienced coaches who have been program directors, former program directors with the national team, and who have proven their skills as high-performance coaches. The purpose is to ensure that our new program directors have the best chance for success in navigating the international competition experience. In the next month, we will be matching mentors with the current PDs in the junior and U24 programs. Subcommittees have been working together in the following areas. We've set up 2 subcommittees for the high performance committee. One is the D2P committee, which is our day-to-day committee. And we focus on the daily activities of the national team, liaising with the program directors on a monthly basis and additional when needed, and to ensure that our communication is top-notch and useful for the program directors. Each member of the committee is assigned to a specific program director, hopefully developing a good relationship between the APC and the high performance programs. National Team Transition Subcommittee. This committee will be focused on developing and implementing a new review process for evaluating program performance and selection of program directors for future programs, creating a more detailed and refined review process. The current program directors who are members of the high performance committee and the 2 athlete reps who will be appointed after the national team registration is complete are tasked with the development of this new review process. This is planned to be implemented at the end of the 2019 national team. We look forward to our next cycle, which many of these policies and guidelines will be implemented. And thanks to our members of the High Performance Committee, as well as the past members of our committee, for all of the hard work and dedication to the national team. And our Eastern rep is Stephanie LaRoche-Pierre from Quebec. Central rep is Sue Humphries from Ontario. Our Western rep is Jenny Jupp from BC. Our member at large is Ken Jean from Ontario. We have 2 yet to be named athlete reps. Our premier program director on the committee is Mike Creamer, and our senior C program director on the committee is Kamini Jeff, and then Scott sits on all of them. And I'm the chair of the committee.
You got one?
So I have a question, okay, or do you?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
So this is the point that you made about reviewing current program directors.
yes,
So you mentioned something about a survey? And
yes.
Okay, who makes up the survey?
The high performance committee created a survey that is in the subcommittee.
Okay, so being in the cycle, I think, personally, my experience with the 4 cycles that I've been on the national team
Yeah.
was the questions that were asked were, first of all, they were multiple choice questions. And it didn't ask me the questions that I needed to provide my public feedback. So questions about, do you think the coach is good? That was never asked. But it was more about, did you find that the finances were hard? You know, questions like that which did not allow me to assess and give feedback on the quality of the coaching.
Okay.
It didn't also give me opportunities to express my feelings about the race progression mentality and about strategies that we
Your
use
competition plan.
the strategies that we use within the race itself. It also didn't give an opportunity to express my satisfaction of the whole process itself. The questions that were asked were answers that I feel didn't represent the true feeling of the coach, of the athletes about their coaches and their directors. So my question to you is, these questionnaires that you asked, why do athletes not get an opportunity to review those questions to begin with? Or why are athletes not given opportunity to express these questions?
This is excellent because this is a whole part of this new subcommittee that we will be putting, getting together to refine this review. So these are excellent questions for us to take on and definitely at our next performance committee meeting, I'll bring this up with our committee members, which right now, the review process committee is Mike and Tommy, and will eventually be with our 2 athlete reps as well. So we will have that specific athlete input. And I've written down your definitely bring that in. There's no reason why this question cannot be changed.
I have follow-up questions as well.
Do you mind if I add one part to that? Just being on the program director side of it, the results we get from the survey, I find pretty much useful because it's all of the answers, it's not summarized. So like in 15, one question was based on price of the program. I received things that were, the price was super cheap based on the programs, man, it seemed okay and way too expensive. I don't know how to deal with that, so I got all 3. So I mean, I can't really use that information anymore. Some people thought it was great, some people thought it was super expensive. So I mean, I think it needs to be kind of summarized as well for the program directors on the back end.
And to follow up on that is the timing of it. We received our feedback from the last cycle after the application deadline finished, which gave us no ability to remedy any sort of situation. So to take someone's feedback that might be constructive and actually build that into something, it was just, it wasn't useful.
The problem with surveys is that they can be skewed based on the questions that are proposed. It's a common thing that happens. Surveys are not necessarily ideal. A open forum might be better, or an open questionnaire is. I mean, there's many ways you can skew the data, and it might not be useful. But like I said, it's you might want to look into other options of gathering athlete input, right? Because a lot of the questions are when I try to create surveys for my club, I've basically given up because a lot of people just look at the question and they go, "I'll just pick A." Right? And because the view is very focused and narrow. right? So if you truly do want to get athlete feedback, it has to be a different forum than a basic survey.
Catherine has
Yeah.
a massive job. She does a great job with it.
Oh, I get it.
There is athlete representation on the committee, but community contributions are valued. If you wanted to draft something and send it direct to Catherine, she would accumulate that and utilize it.
That's a pass.
And she's created a transition team that's going to monitor and review on an ongoing basis. Go ahead, Irene.
Just in regards to also evaluation, have you ever tried piloting it to see if it's valid? Whether the questions are valid that reflect on what you want to do. So whatever you develop for your survey, pilot it out, small group of people or, others, and see the validity of it, if it truly measures what you want to do.
But there's also time constraints because you want to get everything compiled in a quick period of time.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you. You're my teammate, so.
Sandy, did you have another question?
But,
Yes, I did.
Go ahead.
but you've got 2 years, it's 2019, you can do a pilot in a month.
True, but in order to get the next set of well, actually now that it's a 4-year cycle, 4 years, it might be a little bit more, go ahead.
Sandy?
So my question is about the selection of the directors themselves. My understanding is they submit an application for this prestigious job. And it's a resume. And the committee picks the nicely written, the best written resume. I do not believe interviews are done. And the content in the resumes are not dispensed, are not held accountable. Or if there's a concern with something that was written, the individual applying isn't given an opportunity to defend their thesis of their summary. I find that personally again, not well intentioned to all the new coaches that are submitting their names, because the incumbents already know what it takes to get a successful graph. They know how much information to put in. They know what questions could be asked and how to defend themselves, and so thus they get an opportunity to write a far better written application. So my question is, why are interviews not held?
I would say that at this point, interviews have not been done in the defense of time. When we first started the high performance committee, we changed from a race-off situation to actually having hiring national team directors. Each cycle has baby steps in moving into making change and trying to come to what eventually will be the best possible process. In a 2-year period, being able to make the drastic change is very difficult. So we have been trying to do baby steps every single cycle. Definitely interviews have been suggested that that's the next step that we need to be going through. And that will be discussed at the committee level. In terms of what you said about previous program directors or sitting program directors know exactly what to put in their applications and so on, that could be true. However, I can say that the committee agreed that one of our new program directors who are just come on to the slate this cycle has the best applications of all. So it's not just people who have been in the program before who are presenting an excellent application. We get excellent applications from everybody, and we really felt that the most comprehensive and best application came from a brand new program.
And that is my concern, because it doesn't matter what it's about how well written an application is. It's not held accountable. It has to be a defensible application. That's why the interview is necessary.
And I don't discount that. I definitely agree that would be the best case scenario, to be able to run a situation where we have, just like the regular job application. We have not gotten to that point yet to be able to pull that together, but that is definitely something that is in the works.
Thank you for your questions about the high performance committee. This is our most scrutinized of all the things Dragon Canada does. This is the most scrutinized. Athletes, coaches are passionate about it, and that's important to us. It's why we have a lot of resources focused on this. As Jerry mentioned, there is zero income associated with this to the Federation. That does not mean we don't care about it. We will continue. I think this demonstrates to us perhaps a bit more outreach into our community to accumulate more knowledge, but we are moving the yardsticks forward in the sense of review, management review process. And we'll take one last question on this and move forward.
So just a point of interest, how are chairs appointed?
Generally a director. We prefer that a director of Dragon Canada chairs each committee. Catherine, in this case, has a background in sport administration from a professional standpoint. So in starting this committee, she was a natural fit due to her professional background. Just using Cheryl as an example, coming from an education background, it makes sense that she fits that. Catherine's background in sport administration suited this particular committee.
And my email is on the Dragon Canada website, and please feel free to expand on what I've got down here right now.
Central Region Report, Chris Goldner.
There's a nice little typed up sheet which really I should just throw over my shoulder because most of what's on there has already been said even by Scott. But the reality is I just wanted to highlight your three central region directors really have taken advantage of their background, their experience, their expertise in helping to drive forward the Dragon Canada vision. So Cheryl, teacher, as Scott just said, took the opportunity to refine our education, our training, and bring it up to speed with where it was, because where it had been wasn't necessarily by a professional who's trained how to do training, how to do education. Wendy, who unfortunately wasn't able to be here this weekend, took the opportunity of having been in Eastern Region in Montreal and in Toronto, having gone through lots of university racing and all of their connections to really help to try and develop junior university U24, help clear up some of the roadblocks that existed with, and I shouldn't say our oversight, hindsight, however you want to say it, but things like little things on rules. Why do we say junior is only from this to this, when in senior we say it's from this upwards? Let's retake a look at the rules and say, why were the rules put that way? Is it because of the IDBF? Can we put it forward to change the IDBF? Or what can we do to help ensure that the grassroots beginners to the sport who grow up, let's say junior as opposed to starting it out at university, grow up through the sport, continue through the sport, thrive through the sport, go to junior, university, premier, and have something to aspire to. From my perspective, on the end of rules and officials, this past off-season saw the most number of rule change requests put forward by the community at large. Which one either tells me the community is thoroughly upset with the number of rules we have and they want to do wholesale changes, or they got to believe the process is working and feel comfortable putting forward the rules, knowing that they're going to be reviewed, they're going to be discussed, and that their suggestions are going to be taken seriously and considered seriously. Doesn't necessarily mean every single rule request gets approved because of other circumstances, but they will be discussed. The other thing that was interesting is on some of the rule requests that got put forward, it came from across all three regions with the exact same requests. So it's not that, the East doesn't know what the West is thinking. The West says, oh, we're hard done by. We only had nationals next year. It's all of the country was thinking together. On the official side, I'm pleased to say that there are 6 DBC officials heading to Zagat next month, And again, it just shows the strength of our country where it's 2 officials from each region. So East, West, and Central are all equally represented at Saget, including Bernadette Byrne, who's from Central, who was our first homegrown level 4 official at the IDBF. So those who don't know the structure, IDBF level 4 is the highest you can be. That is chief official at a CCWC or a World Nations Cup. She is a co-chair. They do 4 co-chief officials at the CCWC or World Nations. And Normand, who was on the water as the chief umpire this weekend, from Eastern Region is the co-chief umpire. So they'll be both over there. And I continue on in my role also with the IDBF as the competition and technical committee, which can be unbelievably frustrating when you deal with certain personalities that aren't used to being challenged and questioned and asked about transparency and asked a whole lot of questions. So I didn't lose my hair, that's why I wore the hat because of them, but they sure helped contribute to it. And if anyone ever has any questions with regards to rules, officiating, any of that stuff, I am more than willing to answer and ask. As Sandy knows, we've talked about cable rules ad nauseum and everything. It just, I love the sport, I love the talk, and having a conversation basically means you're engaged. If you're engaged, that means it's like
Thank you, Chris. We do not have an Eastern Region report. Festival report, Lorraine.
I don't have a written report, but I think Scott said most of it. Very short summary. So we rolled out race series this year with Lindsay and Chloe and Scott. And so across the country at the race series events, we have had a Dragon Boat Canada official there and doing roster checks for all Dragon Boat Canada teams that attend all of those festivals. A lot of education, a lot of communication, and I'm sure it'll go on for the rest of the year and into next year. A lot of education for organizers of events, and also a lot of education for teams to get their rosters in and get them in, and a lot of conversations around we're not a qualifier, and I think that's what it is. So it's been going well, and the festival has really welcomed the Dragon Boat Canada officials at the event. So.
Just one small note. We have a ranking, a point structure that ranks teams in different categories. The third category is called recreational, which is non-Dragon Boat Canada members. But we've ranked in various festivals over 500 different crews at this point in the season. So we hope that those crews feel engaged in Dragon Boat Canada more so than they would previously because they're accumulating points.
Can you see those rankings?
They're not up yet, but they will be up. We're just building your interest.
Quick question, the teams that aren't members of Dragon Canada that you're ranking, that's great, but how do they then find out if they're not members of Dragon Canada that they're being ranked?
Our concept is by having an online scoreboard, they'll be excited about the online scoreboard, and they'll be like, how do we come to nationals where the most points are available? And then we'll go, here's how you do it.
That's great.
So step 1 is to put the leaderboard up.
You know, that is very true. I mean, that U24 team that we're mentoring, they had no concept of what Dragon was. They had no concept what CCWC was, right? We started to plant that seed in their head, and they have really responded well to it. So now we're already talking about France, and they're excited. So having a ranking system, so, other than the one that's currently out there, might promote more teams to look beyond what's.
This is the best ranking system that exists, but we do want to create something online like a standings in any sport that's a centerpiece that people can engage with us, and the outcome of that is come to nationals, get your true ranking. That's the culmination of all of it. But step one is we got them ranked, we got to get it up online and continuously update and tell them. Irene?
Are you keeping stats of the different club crews or whoever that are participating? It's just, because the only thing is for this year, I know it's not as many competitors. I know it's just because it's a non-qualifier, but I've been dragging boating for about 11 years, and I noticed, I don't know if it's just me, that there's a trending down of not as many younger people, or it's just a happenstance, it's just a fluke.
So, I totally see how you would see that. The numbers actually show, in terms of youth, our fastest growing category is U24, exponentially. So it may not be at the events that you're going to, but it absolutely is growing. It is the largest category at this event. In terms of this event this weekend, it's not just that it's an off weekend, that it's an off year. The other big challenge is how close we are to the event. And we had to book the race course, and we knew that it was going to be a gamble because the IDF hadn't announced the dates. So this was the closest thing we could have to a safe date, and we knew that it wasn't going to be ideal going into it. So, I mean, it's just too tight. So when you look at how we've been trending, not including this year.
Are you keeping the stats?
Absolutely. So what we do is we have to, we compare odd years to odd years and even years to even years, obviously. So you only compare race-off years and then and non-race-off years. And we had a very comfortable trend upwards until this year, which we knew as soon as we booked it that it was going to not be great. But no thanks.
We still think the overall 2-year trend is going to be positive.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lorraine. Special business. There are several items of special business to be considered and approved at tonight's meeting. These involve fundamental changes to the structure or nature of Dragon Boat Canada. These types of changes must be approved by special resolution. 2/3 of members must approve each special resolution in order for it to be validly passed. Amendments to articles. The first is a special resolution authorizing changes to Dragon Boat Canada's articles to create a new class of non-voting members and to provide that all members will vote for all directors of Dragon Boat Canada. Details of these changes were provided in the notice of tonight's meeting. If members pass this special resolution, the amendments will likely take effect on January 1, 2019. Sue, please read the special resolution.
So the special resolution is resolved that the articles of continuance of Dragon Boat Canada be amended to provide as follows. A, to designate the existing class of members as voting members. B, to create a new class of non-voting members. C, to provide that after giving effect to that, there'll be 2 authorized classes of members. D, to provide that non-voting members are entitled to receive notice of and to attend all meetings of members. E, to provide that non-voting members are not entitled to vote at any meeting except as provided under the Canada Not-for-Profit Corporations Act. F, to provide that each non-voting member has 1 vote at each meeting at which it is entitled to vote. I know, I'm sorry, this is very dry stuff, as Scott mentioned earlier on. And to authorize the board to revoke the special resolution if needed. So maybe if I can give a little background, if I can provide. So currently Dragon Boat Canada only has 1 class of members, and that's the clubs. And the clubs are the voting members of DBC. Anyone who is involved in DBC who is not a club is considered a registrant or an associate or an affiliate or some very awkward thing like that. But we know that the community, the athletes and other participants in clubs consider themselves members of DBC. So that's what we want to recognize. We want to have Dragon Boat Canada's structure and the formal presentation of Dragon Boat Canada reflect how the community views themselves. So to do that, we create another class of members. We retain the voting members, the clubs, and then create the non-voting members. And the non-voting members will be anyone who's involved in a club, a coach, a paddler, a manager, anyone like that. So again, it's about bringing the community into DBC and having, DBC structure reflect that.
If you're a club member,
Yeah.
you cannot be a non-voting member.
So
Correct?
if you're a club, you are the voting member. That's
The
the
club
only,
would have one vote.
beg your pardon?
No, who would, the members of the club?
No, the club itself votes. So
Yes.
it's like a corporation. A club is viewed like a corporation. So it would be the club that still votes. And the number of votes that a club has is determined on the number of members
yes.
it has with DBC. Yes.
So if I were, let's say I'm not with, I'm with CSDC.
Yeah.
So I fall under the umbrella of CSDC.
Right.
But I cannot go and register myself separately as a non-voting member.
Big question.
So if you're a non,
If I'm already with CSDC, so
Right.
I'm kind of falling under the umbrella of the votes that CSDC has
as a member of DBC, so you as a member of CSDC count toward the number of votes that
Yes.
CSDC has.
Can I
Yes.
still go and register myself as a non-voting?
You
Registrant.
would be as, so if DBC registers as a member, the voting member, then you register as a member of CSDC.
Yes, but I think,
Yeah, so you, because you can only be a member of one club, you being independent would be two things. You can
Yes.
only be one thing in the
Okay,
eyes
that
of
was
the
You can't hold multiple memberships in
Yeah.
DBC. So that's another way of saying that.
thanks.
Any other questions? Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve the special resolution?
Mike and
Mike and Mike.
first and second.
In whichever order you.
I think you went first.
Tim and Riley, in either order. We've already done the other questions, but yes. All members in favor, please raise your hands. Or voting cards, either. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Bylaw number 3. The next special business item is a special resolution confirming bylaw number 3 as a new general bylaw. The changes to DBC's articles mean corresponding changes must be made to DBC's general bylaw. The most significant changes relate to the creation of the new class of non-voting members and their rights, and removing the voting restrictions for the election of regional directors. Rather than amend bylaw number 1, bylaw number 3, which contains all of the necessary changes, is proposed as a new general bylaw. A black line copy of bylaw number 3 was provided with the notice of this meeting. If members pass this special resolution, plans are for bylaw number 3 to be effective on January 1, 2019. At the same time, the changes to DBC's article become effective. I'm glad I memorized that. Sue, please read the special resolution.
So, special resolution resolved that bylaw number 3, being a bylaw relating generally to the conduct of business and affairs of Dragon Boat Canada, is confirmed as of the effective date set forth therein, and the board in its sole discretion may revoke this special resolution before it is acted on without further approval by the members. As Scott mentioned, the majority of these amendments or changes to the bylaw relate to the new class of non-voting members. It sets out, the membership requirements for non-voting members. They're also their voting rights. The other major change to it is currently Dragon Boat Canada's structure for voting for directors is that each region, each of DBC's 3 regions, so there's the west that goes from BC to Saskatchewan, central Manitoba to Ontario, and east Quebec and east. Each region votes for 3 representatives or 3 directors from its region. The intention is that if this changes, then all clubs who are members of DBC would vote for all members across Canada for the board of directors of DBC. The objective in doing that is to expand the scope and to have Dragon Boat Canada structure reflect that it is a nationwide organization and not divided into pockets of interest. The intention is to ensure that there is equal and broad coverage across Canada.
Any questions? Motion, would anyone like to motion to approve the special resolution? Steve and, sorry, Steve.
A voting member? Yeah.
Keanu. And Mike Sims. All members in favor, please raise your hand or voting card. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Yeah.
We can skip the next one. Woo-hoo. Election of directors. 2 directors from each region are to be elected today. Directors serve 2-year term. Any member club can nominate someone who is registered with DBC for election as a director representing their region. We'll start with the election of Western Region directors. Catherine Edwards and Rob Varnell are the 2 Western Region directors whose terms expire at the close of today's meetings, and they are the only nominees. Are there any other nominations? May I have a motion from a Western Region member to close nominations?
Scott, I don't think there are any Western Region present. So as there are no other nominations, then Rob and Catherine nominate.
Next, 2 Central Region directors are to be elected. 3 nominations have been received. The nominees are, I feel like this is the Oscars. Chris Goldner, Andrew Milner, and Wendy Zhu, but they get it wrong at the Oscars, but we're going to get it right. Wendy Joe. Sorry, thank you. Chris and Wendy hold the directorships that expire at the close of today's meetings. Are there any other nominations? May I have a motion from a Central Region member that nominations be closed?
Anyone else?
Kathy. Okay, each nominee will give a brief presentation. We'll start with,
It's not mandatory.
If they want.
if they want, Chris.
All right, easy enough. I've been on the board now for 6 years, take care of rules, officials, organizing officials for this event, as well as liaison with the IDBF on their competition and technical committee. Probably 12, 14, maybe 15 years that I've been in dragon boating. I no longer have a club affiliation, which makes me quasi-unique because it means I have no, what's the word? Yes, correct, thank you. I always look at Sue on this because we have very good argument back and forth on legal things, but I have no perceived bias and therefore also no conflict of interest when it comes to anything to do with rules and officials because I do not have a club affiliation. I am a free agent where I used to do stuff with GWN exclusively. I do with any of the event houses now, and unfortunately I have not been able to paddle since I've got 4 young boys under the age of 8, but since Kathy was telling me about her program where they actually have an 8-year-old in there, I'm really looking forward to being able to bring my son. Because it means I get to paddle finally. I'd be happy to come back and continue on my capacity.
Andrew Milner.
All right, my name's Andrew Miller. As you don't know me, I'm also co-chief official at this event with Chris. I've got a beat on how long we've been paddling. I've at for Dragon Boat 24 years. I've been involved in paddle sports since I was 9 years old. Pretty much brought up in paddle sports. I have been been working as an official for the national championships for over 10 years. I've spent 4 cycles as either a coach or national team director. I've been coaching in Dragon Boat for over 20 years. Yes, I'm old.
You started at 9, you're only 20.
Yeah, that's it. I feel I've got a lot of good skills I can bring to the table for Dragon Boat Canada. I have great skills in analytics, in project management, in event delivery, and that my regular day job is to work in the provincial election administration, which is for hiring 50,000 people and running the entire election. So I'm used to the kind of hectic environment of that. As well, I just really want, honestly, after not getting a program directorship for the next cycle for the national team, I'm looking for a new challenge, and I think I have a lot of skills I can bring to Canada.
Wendy Zoo, now you made me do it, I haven't called her that. Wendy Jo is not here. She wanted to be, she just got a new job and she is at a conference, so that's fine.
Sue, can you explain the ballot process?
Okay, you have the script. So, if you are the club, thank you. So, if you're a Central Region member and representative, if you took materials from over there, you would have received a ballot for the election of the Central Region directors. So it was included amongst all of those materials. So if you don't have one, let me know and we'll come around and give you a ballot. So on the ballot there are the names of the 3 nominees. So what I'd like you to do is to fill out that ballot, select only 2 names on the ballot, and then once you're done, raise your hand and Michael and I will come around and collect your ballots. Does anyone not have? I do not. Okay.
There'd be a pen.
I don't know.
I have that. You don't worry.
I counted the votes. I counted the votes.
Gotta throw your hat in.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's not your God. So I'll throw my name. Why not? I've got something.
My old club. Actually,
You have 4? You have 4? I've got 2. Who has not submitted their voting card? Their ballot? Has anybody not submitted their ballot? Did
Who
Cheryl?
have not submitted their voting card?
Who has not submitted?
Collecting voting
Do
cards.
I have Waterloo's? Waterloo, have you submitted your voting card? Okay. Sunnyside, did you submit yours?
Oh,
All right. Thank you.
Okay, next, 2 Eastern Region directors are to be elected. 3 nominations have been received. The nominees are Lynn Evanson, Corinne Malte, and Michael Wu. Lynn and Corinne hold the directorships that expire at the close of today's meeting. Are there any other nominations?
Are there any Western Region representatives? Eastern, beg pardon, Eastern registered?
No, they're not.
Okay. then we do not hold an election, and the incumbents remain in office. There's no election, no election, there's no election. Thank you.
And so to clarify, the resolution we just passed is not in effect yet.
Sorry, which?
The resolution by which all members can vote for all directorships, that will take
Correct.
effect next
Correct.
AGM.
It's not effective, it's January 1, 2019 that it takes.
So we are still on the rules as of the start of this meeting,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
means that only those within the region can vote for their directors. Next year, that changes. So no matter where you're from, you can vote on every election. But because we're in the old rules and nobody is present, the incumbents will stand.
Correct.
Thank you. Come to national championships. You get to represent. You get to elect your representatives. Election of festival director. We'll now move on to the election of festival director. Lorraine Warnock is not seeking re-election. One nomination in favor of Lindsay Wingham Smith has been received. Any member club can nominate someone who is registered with DBC for election as the festival director. Are there any nominations? May I have a motion from a member to close nominations? Mike and Mike.
Just closing everything.
I want ice cream.
Sim and then O'Reilly. Okay, all in favor of closing nominations? Excuse me. Any opposed? Motion carried. Lindsay is the sole nominee. She's acclaimed as festival director. Welcome aboard.
My condolences.
Reappointment of accountants. The last item of formal business is the reappointment of Truster Zwig, Chartered Accountants, as DBC's accountants until the close of the 2019 AGM. May I have a motion that the reappointment be made? Kathy, seconded by Mike O'Reilly. Any questions? All in favor, please raise your voting cards or your hand. We will accept both. Any opposed? DBC's accountants are reappointed. We can't terminate until the results of the...
Correct, we're waiting for the results.
Okay, so open for questions as we wait the scrutineer's report. Any questions?
How'd you guys all like the 1,000 meters today?
That was good.
So if everyone's saying we liked it.
Yes.
If Dragon Boat Canada, by virtue of including 1,000 meters, had to move to a 4-day national championship, would that be a positive? You want to say Susan Mitchell.
I think that's the type of question that begs the answer, right? Is leading in a certain direction, is there like, if it goes to a 4 days,
You want 4 distances in 3 days? If you have to show up for your first race starting at 7 a.m. each of the 3 days, are you cool with that?
We're gonna throw up lights.
And this is honest, time is our finite resource. This year we can do it. Next year, when we have an abundance of entries, it's a great challenge. So there has to be something given for something to be added.
Does the race course in Regina have capacity to do that?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
I think you have to take into account that people take time off work to come to these regatta. So if you're going to do a 4-day festival event, it would have to be on a long weekend most likely.
Yeah, well, people also don't like
I know,
long weekends.
but people to take 2 days off work is too much for some with children and families.
You're the CEO, you're gonna read the results.
Just to make sure before I do something. Okay. Okay, congratulations to Dragon Boat Canada's Central Region Directors, Chris Goldner and Wendy Joe.
I have a question about the new registration system.
Yes.
Is there going, I'm sure we all do, is there going to be any way in the future that a club manager will be able to access that? Because you know that was a nightmare.
Okay, so this year has been a challenge. In a nutshell, DBC went through an exhaustive process in finding a new system for us to use. Those of you that used the old system, it did some things really, really well, but it did a lot of things badly. And so we knew, and also the person who managed the platform was retired. So we knew we had to replace it. So we went through a very exhaustive process to find a new company to do what we needed. And a lot of promises were made. And at the end of the day, we ended up with past our registration start time, and really with less than 2 weeks to find an alternative. So the company that we're using this year has an outstanding platform that we will be using next year that absolutely provides absolutely everything that we need.
Including my little 12-year-olds
It
and
means
under?
that you as a club administrator, like all the good things in the old program, so that you, whether you're, you as a club manager gets to see all the crew stuff, you as the crew manager gets to see all of your crew stuff, plus tidbits of the club stuff while still respecting people's privacy. So you'll be able to have that. You'll be able to see what registration looks like, create your own crew list. All the good stuff from the old system will be in Sportal ID, which is what will be happening for next year. The timelines were such that it could not be modified in order to be able to do this. What we had this year, although it was bumpy because you guys can't see, in terms of it doing appropriate, like taxation and all those kinds of things that were a huge issue for us before, it's able to do those things. So as much as it was a real challenge, the fundamentals, even though you can't see it, are better. So for next year, it's going to look completely different. In terms of process, we will have, we've spent hours and hours and hours working towards having a blueprint that's going to be presented to you guys in August. And so there's a few key people that have been identified that have specific skills or are the suckers who get to use it all the time and have, specific challenges and those kinds of things. And those people, everybody is encouraged. If you are interested in being part of the development of the new system, give me a shout, let me know, and you'll be part of the team that works on what the blueprint looks like, and then working out the challenges, the bugs, and all that stuff. Yeah, like all the user, but before we even get to user testing, looking at what the diagrams look like, what the flow looks like, all that kind of stuff. So everybody's engaged in the ground up. So, which is what we had tried to do last time, but then just ended up getting a bunch of nonsense instead of actual what we needed. So don't worry about next year. Next year's gonna be great, and if you want to get engaged, that would be awesome.
So those clubs, like, for example, our club, we collect the Dragon Boat Canada fees in their membership fees.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to eliminate those out of our club fees,
So,
and they will pay online then.
so for next year, you will be able to do what you want to do. As a club, you will, like at this level, based on our conversations, and we've seen what other organizations are able to do in this system, is that as a club, you will be able to determine what you want to do moving forward. So I'm going to charge you your club fee, and your DBC fee is going to be included in your club fee, and so I'm going to pay DBC, or you're going to pay your club, like you're going to pay your DBC fee. You get to decide that as a club. That will be part of your decision-making process. So what will happen is, after we've gone through the blueprint process, and after we've done a chunk of the testing, Sportal is going to go and have meetings with people across the country, and we can talk about what that looks like for usability for you guys, to see whether, if you want to use it for your club management, what does that actually look like, and sit down and do some proper stuff and have a real conversation. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. And like I said, the fundamentals, the foundation of what your platform looks like is really cool. So I think we're going to do it. it will not look anything like this.
Thank God. That was horrendous.
It was horrendous. Yeah, it was horrendous. Yep.
Thank you, Chloe, for that explanation. Any more questions? Can I have a motion to terminate the meeting? Mike, Sam, Kathy Johnson, all in favor? Raise your hands or your cards. Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned.